one of the leading British groups of the 60s and 70s. They started out as two lads from Salford, but then the Hollies were joined by a young drummer from Burnley by the name of Bobby Elliott.
And the rest, as they say, is history. In a moment, we're very pleased to say that Bobby's going to be chatting to us about his new book. But first, let's take a look into the archives, which include Bobby and the boys chatting to my old friend Bob Greaves back in 1993.
Rock and roll bands don't die, and the words of the Stones, they don't always even fade away. Living proof of that is that I'm surrounded by the Hollies, including several originals. Alan Clark. Talking of originals as well, can you give me a bang on that one of those original drums? We haven't had a new set, Bob. Oh.
No, they're only on.
No, nice one, nice one.
Oh, I love that. Bobby Elliott, you rather enjoyed that as well.
I was watching the old footage and dear old Bob Greaves there, my old chum. Yeah, and that old set, that old Gretsch drum set that I had, it's 1950s.
But you're still rocking, aren't you? You're still moving along to the music.
Rocking. Yeah, still hitting them.
How did you get started on the drums all those years ago?
Well, I suppose at school, banging with a couple of rulers on the desk, and my mates would say, hey, that's quite a good rhythm, Bob. And got my first snare drum for £2 in Nelson, and my mum at the time had a grocer's shop, and there were biscuit tins and Cadbury's Roses tins and a baking tin which I drilled holes and put rivets in to make it sound like a sizzle cymbal. So I would have a little drum kit set up by the radiogram with the various tins and two paintbrush handles that I borrowed from Nelson Grammar School art department that I reverse round.
Must have driven your mum mad, that. Must have driven her mad.
Well, yeah, my little room was upstairs. It was a dormer bungalow, and I would practice and bang away there. And one day Mum said, Robert, your bedroom's right above the shop, and Mrs Brown came in yesterday for a bigger order, and you're sort of banging away, and the ceiling started to flake. And she said, OK, Ed, I think I'll just take a loaf today. And off she went.
Yeah, but you got your own bad then when you were waiting in line for your audition.
Oh.
Tell us who else was in the queue.
Well, we've jumped a few years, and then Tony Hicks, my colleague in our little band called the Dolphins, was headhunted away to join the forming Hollies. I was out of a job, but they phoned up a few days later and said there's a gig going with Shane Fenton and the Fentones, who later became Alvin Stardust.
Wow.
So my dad drove me down to London in his little A35 van, and at the bottom of Tottenham Court Road was an alleyway, and that's where the audition was. But there was a queue of about 8 other drummers. I could see they had drumsticks sticking out the pocket, and I thought, this is a clue.
That was a clue.
That was a clue. So anyway, I got the gig. I was at the back of the queue. I got the gig. Number 3 was Keith Moon, and the other one in the queue was Mick Fleetwood.
Your book, you were telling us earlier, is mainly because you kept diaries. Is that right? You kept a diary.
Kept diaries. As a kid, young Robert here was emulating his dad and keeping diaries, and they got bigger and bigger as the years went by. So I thought, well, I know where all the bodies are buried, so it's all in the book.
Well, thank goodness you did, because it's a great read, great life.
Well, it's accurate, and it's, I've got all the dates correct and everything, and that's volume 1.
And does it ever become a bit of a chore? Because obviously these songs that we love, do you love them as much as we do?
Never get fed up of playing them. You know, live concerts are a dream, because at the end of the night, we all take a bow at the front, and the audience are up, hopefully, usually are, and you float off stage. I get in the shower, and I'm in heaven, and I go out, and Pete, the lead singer's got me a pint on the bar waiting for me, and I'm in heaven. It's
Bobby Elliott, thank you ever so much for coming in today. We could have talked to you for a lot longer. We've run out of time, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it ain't heavy, it's my story. Brilliant stuff. Bobby Elliott, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks, Lucy.